Hello, welcome to episode 32 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and a man now most definitely in his 61st year of existence.
Yeah.
That is absolute nailed on now, isn't it?
Yeah.
How are you with that, okay?
Yeah, somebody asked me something and I said 40 I dreaded, 50 I embraced, 60 was another day at the office. So there you go.
So chat around the subjects of health, wealth, well-being, fitness, sport, conspiracy and mindfulness. And we are all now so wise-minded, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Let's go back to Mark 1.
Much more fun.
Yeah.
We're all work in progress, and this podcast is no exception. In short, it's a poke at our perfectly imperfect lives, and if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this madness, then our work here is done. If you haven't subscribed to us in your favourite he's stripping off again. If you haven't already subscribed to us in your favourite podcasting app, then please do so. It's a great way to have all of our latest episodes delivered directly to your device as soon as we publish it. And if you have a spare moment, please do leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, as this will be
appreciated.
Yeah.
I'd like everybody for my Christmas present to go to 2 other people and give them the link to this.
Oh, that's all you're asking.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
Yep.
All you want for Christmas is that. You can also subscribe and listen to us on YouTube as well. I've not mentioned this. You can't see us, as that would most likely put you off completely. Coming up, what?
No, nothing.
Did I just plant an idea? Do you want to do put
an audiovisual treat?
Yeah.
I wondered when we do the Magical Mystery Tour, when we're going to do that in the new year, whether we could
on the back of the bus.
On the back of the bus, whether we could have
film that.
Some video content of that.
Yeah, we'll have to film that.
Yeah.
Coming up, plenty of bookmarks and bits to pick up on. Work-life ballet, we're talking about the curry.
Yeah.
And in brain food, we're talking about calorie deficit, which I think we've nudged, haven't we?
Yeah.
Tickled around the edges, but not really gone into. If we can combine that with curry, it makes for a new health food movement. I'm going to coin curry deficit. Work in progress.
Yeah.
Obviously. So how are you?
How's the marketing business?
Bit slow. It'll pick up anytime now.
I saw your latest innovation, your latest piece of artwork. It was cool.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
I did a logo.
Yeah, logo.
For someone.
Yeah.
Just keeping my hand in, keep the rust off.
Well, we were saying about working for others, weren't we, Ian?
Yeah, it was exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah, bit of back scratching.
Yeah.
How are you? All right?
Yeah. I was, when we listened back for the edit before, and I was listening when you asked that question, and I went, yeah, and I took about a minute to answer.
I actually took about 3 minutes out of the edit, just silence.
And I went, yeah, 6.3. No, 6.4. No, I can't have a 6.4. It's 2 even numbers that add up to 10. 6.7. No, they're consecutive. You can't have that. It's like I could either be.
Is that what was going on in your mind?
Yeah. I was visualizing the numbers.
Hear that on the pod.
I can't do 6.9 because it's like the yin and yang, so I couldn't do that.
All right.
70 is a round number. So the next, I can either be 6.3 or 7.1. I hadn't edged into the sevens. So
okay, what are you out of those two then today?
There's
some lower down ones you can have as well.
Yeah.
What can you have lower down?
Well, you did it as a fraction. I did it as a decimal, which was interesting. You said 4.5.
Oh, right.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to put a number today. I think I might suddenly lose a bit of the judgmentalness to judgment. Yeah. I think I might just be a little bit feisty.
Wait.
Yeah.
I've been too polite. My wise mind has been kind of.
For fuck's sake, just be controversial.
Yeah, spit it out.
Stop apologising that you got the Dragon's Den numbers wrong.
Thanks for training. How was your birthday? Did you have a nice birthday?
I did have a nice birthday. Thank you.
Thank you for training me on your birthday.
I enjoyed it.
That was obviously the highlight of your birthday, wasn't it?
Everyone I trained, I can't say they're my favourites, but everyone on train, I was talking to this to Amelia the other day, and you get a different feeling for every client, which I get everybody does. I guess people in therapy or people in a shop or whatever. Yeah. Maybe a little bit referring back to our habits, that certain sessions have a certain feel because of the person, and not necessarily good or bad. And the person that I train first thing this morning at 8, we just have a really engaging conversation, and we don't know what it's going to be about. We were talking today about our dislike of small talk.
Right.
And I sort of mentioned to him, it's
okay.
This
bit of the pod must be really painful for you then.
Well, he was using the expression when someone, I love this bit, when someone comes up, like, in a party or social setting and says, how are you? And you go, I'm good. And their reply is, good. It's like, thank goodness we've got that out the way.
Yeah.
But he was saying it, and he said he doesn't want to have that small talk. And I said it was interesting, literally, as he walks into the garage.
Not even if it was
I guess
not
you
so
have
good.
some
Oh,
passing.
so how?
Yeah.
Good.
Last week we talked about organised religion. It almost had a certain depth to it. And I'm thinking maybe we've lost this idea that you can have a meaningful, insightful conversation that's between a political argument and banalities.
Yeah.
And I think we've maybe, sweeping generalisation.
I'm happy to bring banality to the party on my sessions, just for balance.
I
know where I sit.
Your banalities are like the introduction of these jokes and sound effects. You're like one of those kids that gets a new synthesizer at Christmas and has the sort of boom, tss, boom, tss, boom. Tss.
Got some new beats.
And and you've found a bell.
Yeah.
I don't even know where we started on that. Oh, so I trained a number of people on Thursday on my birthday, and it was lovely. Yeah,
good.
Thank you.
Good. And you had nice food because people cooked for you, didn't they?
I had a burger and chips.
Oh, very nice. I will come on to calorie deficit in a bit. My Santa story, that was very badly told, wasn't it? But it was. I did find it quite amusing.
I found it,
You found it frustrating. Probably listened back to it again as much as it was to hear it for the first time.
I don't know whether it was...
That lawnmower comment, I missed.
Was that the one that you missed?
Because you ran out of petrol. Oh. Also, my goldfish genius.
Oh.
I totally misunderstood what you said.
I know. I had to listen back. Because
I listened back and went, oh God, that is really clever.
It was so clever. And I just went...
No, I didn't. I wish I was that clever, but I wasn't.
Do you think you could repeat it again now or insert that section here? I just thought that was magic. I would have been proud of that.
So I said, just to demonstrate the level of pedantry on this podcast, I had to double check. And it turns out goldfishes is as much of a plural of goldfish as goldfish is. Obviously, goldfish is not goldfishes.
Yeah.
I must listen to it 3 or 4 times. Go, what does he mean? Oh,
and then I'm praising you. You're so clever, and you look at me like, "Fuck off! What are you on about?
Yeah,
don't take the piss out of me." Yeah,
of course I'm clever.
I can take compliments.
Yeah, I'm really fucking clever. I just didn't realise. Yeah. The Lord Mayor of Liverpool, he is known as Chippy Tits, not to the mainstream media, of course. They call him by his actual name. But I'll tell you what, anywhere where he's mentioned in a news piece, the comments are hilarious.
Yeah.
Just everyone, just all the Liverpudlians piling in with theirs. I won't read them out because my beep will wear out. But it is funny. You get some stick. We're talking about gravestones a little bit. I think I talked about in the last episode. Do you not remember?
Can you just wait there, listener? No. Can you just wait there?
We're talking about Spike Milligan's gravestone.
No. Just when I say wait there, I mean shut up.
You looked at me like. No. I thought that for a minute. You were like, "Can we not talk about gravestones?" And
no.
You jumped into life. You've got something to show me.
Joking about my funeral for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, I've got something to show you. I don't know whether this works or not. People maybe
no, it doesn't. But we keep doing it.
Okay. Well, you can describe it. So that's my birthday walk.
You walked through a graveyard on your birthday, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just funny you should say.
Oh, that's the one local. That's the local one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the dead centre of where you live, isn't it? I'll put it on after.
No, don't. I'm going to do it. Dong. We're not going to keep using that. Yeah, no, it's just interesting that you said talk about gravestones, and that's where part of my birthday fun was spent.
Yeah. What, you're just walking through or just seeing what names were about?
I was looking at names, yeah.
I quite like doing that.
It's not a very old graveyard. And there was also one, and I don't know whether this is just my sensitivities or lack of sensitivity. There was one, and I think it was for a priest or a vicar, I can't remember, but they had his title there. And it said, who fell asleep on November the 30th.
Right.
And I find
okay.
they often use that language. Passed away.
I say fell asleep at the wheel or something and ended up in a ditch.
Yeah, that's going to be cut out. No, I just think it's interesting. You're looking at a gravestone, the person has been, and I don't know whether that softens the blow.
With saying sleep for death, aren't you? I think that's what you're basically saying.
I'm
uncomfortable with it as well.
Yeah.
They're not asleep.
No. And it doesn't have to be brash and like he died on this date, but he did.
You don't even have to say he's dead. I mean, it's pretty clear. He's got a gravestone. I mean,
the clues are there.
Yeah, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think we should have a death special. I've been thinking about this, about my death.
I think
about my death probably more than I care to admit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there was a really wise person. You could maybe look this up. I think it's in the 15th century. Let me think. He said something like, I'm not
wasn't Marcus Aurelius, was it?
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Jack Lemmon's gravestone.
Yeah.
One word on it under his name, Ovs. In.
Yeah.
I think that's really good.
Okay.
Smart, isn't it? Not impressed.
Not instantly. No, I'll think on it.
No, I don't have to.
Okay.
It's funny. End of. I don't really need your opinion on that. Okay. I'm speaking to the listeners. You just go in the corner and think about your actions.
Go and pick my coat up.
Go and think about the wise mind stuff, because I'm not actually sure I want judgmental Mark back.
You're back to being nice. Annoying. Laugh at my jokes like you meant to. Jack
Lemmon
was in Grumpy Old Men, wasn't he? Which is fitting.
Some Like It Hot.
Yeah.
As well. Is that where they dressed up as women?
It's good being a film buff when you know bits of
when
stuff.
When you bugger
like
all about it.
It takes the listeners. It's almost like they're there, isn't it? Because, of course, Bristol invented acting with Cary Grant, didn't they?
They did. Cary Grant.
Cary Grant, yeah, just to keep the theme going. Some Like It Hot.
Genius. We'll come to that in a minute. That's good. I've put wombats in apologies because I kind of looked at you like you were mental. But yeah, you're absolutely bang on. Wombats have bottoms made of concrete. Well, that's actually strictly not true. Okay. They're not made of concrete. No. So the marsupial...
Calcium carbonate.
You don't put hot water on them, they stink of rubber. The marsupial's bums are made up of 4 plates fused together and surrounded by cartilage, fat, skin and fur. Alice Swinburne, an expert in wombat bottoms from the... I haven't actually read this, from the University of Adelaide. Oh, imagine your life's come to that. Is that what you got on your LinkedIn? Says wombats were used...
I recommend Alice for PowerPoint.
Yeah. We use their backside to plug up their burrows, stopping predators entering and protecting softer areas of their anatomy.
Right.
Yeah.
I got a vision of them doing it with a car driving in, but I think I've maybe taken that to the extreme.
With a car driving?
They don't into a wombat and it stops the car. I think maybe I've gone too far.
I like the idea though.
Yeah. Oh, that was quick.
This is the point where we go on to the next section. You go, hold on, I've got 3 apologies to do. In a new section called Apologies in the Wrong Part of the Podcast.
No, I haven't got any.
You haven't got anything. Okay.
Except...
I always get...
Except...
See, I knew it.
This isn't an apology.
That's normally what you start your apologies with.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry, isn't it?
And compliments. This isn't a compliment, but you lifted really well.
Yeah. Don't feel good about yourself, but you're not shit. You did lift well.
Thanks. I wasn't fishing for a non-compliment.
PB, share it with the world.
It was.
I even spent time editing it to make it look edgy, that video. It's got...
You put a filter on it.
Put filters on it and put extra...
I like the way I didn't make it to your Instagram stories like your other clients. But anyway,
there's a queue. There's 2 clients.
There's a queue?
There's a queue.
How many in the queue?
Well, there's 2 before you that when we talk about calorie deficit, I'm going to big them up.
All right. I'm feeling like I'm at the bottom of the pile here.
It sounds like I rank all my clients, doesn't it?
I think it's pretty clear.
I
know where I am. It's fine. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
I'm not competitive, as you know. Have you got something?
No, I'm just...
just fucking with me.
Yeah, messing with your head.
Curry. We haven't talked about curry. Now, curry... football brought us all together. But the other part of our group, if we're not on a weekend away, we're out for beers and a curry. We've done that quite a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
But as soon as anyone mentions curry to me, it's quite evocative in terms of my curry, history, how I found curries and what, more than any other.
Okay. Food stuff.
Yeah. Especially going out and that kind of experience. It's not just the food, is it? It's all the things that go with it. And I'm not
the bants.
Yes. I kind of wanted to start with that. What is it about curries and the idea of going out for a curry that's so appealing? Or yeah,
frightening.
But I was going to say...
Because you don't know what I'm about to say, because I didn't even...
No.
When you said we're going to do curry...
I'm not frightened of what you're going to say.
No, I am.
Are you?
Of curries.
You're scared of curries?
Uh-huh. I'm just going to put that out there. We'll come back to that in this talk. You don't know why I'm going to say curries are frightening for me.
No, but that's good. I'm kind of excited by it.
Yeah, come on, let's go.
But I was just thinking, when our group goes out for a curry, I just realised how formulaic it is.
Do you think?
Like frighteningly so, isn't it? We've kind of touched on it before. That the same people fall asleep. Well, we meet in the same place.
Yeah, we meet in 2 places. The group arranged to meet.
I know.
And then we meet in 2 separate pubs.
2 separate pubs. Then we meet. Then we go to the same pub and spend a while looking for each other.
Which is the best pub because it has music and
an atmosphere. Once we've found each other, we kind of just as the people who are a bit later to that pub start drinking, it's all kind of time to go. So you've got like a pint on the go. And everyone's finishing and ready to You know what I mean?
Oh, it's even more extreme as that. It's like, big man, what time's the curry for? And we used to book it at like 11, didn't we? Just as they're shutting.
Yeah, and we wanted to do it early, and it went to 10:30.
Yeah,
which is far too late for anybody.
Yeah, so you're in the pub at 10:25. What time is it, big man? 10:30 at the pub. Quick round? No, you've got your full pint. 5 minutes to get 7 more beers in, and then take 2 pints across the road into the curry house. Yeah. Well, have more beers.
And then it just, I mean, thankfully, we were normally a little bit later. If we've ever been a bit earlier, we have emptied the place before, haven't we? When us, there's probably 12 of us.
Yeah, they used to be bigger, didn't they?
When all the hangers-on joined us.
We used to tell other people.
Yeah, we've actually cleared the place before. Yeah. Which isn't anything to be proud of necessarily, but you do go in. You've had a few. These are the days when I haven't done it sober, I don't think, or not drinking.
Last one you were sober. Last one we did, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because we sat together in the corner reading books, didn't we?
Drinking
water. Everyone used poppadoms as frisbees and beer mats.
Yeah, but you kind of walk in, and most people aren't aware of, or everyone else, but you can see some of the couples having a nice quiet dinner, look up going, you just see their faces
12 floats,
Yeah, and then the usual banter.
Yeah, and the waiters love us as hate us in equal measures because they can sell probably 80 quid's worth of poppadoms because they each ask each of us, would you like poppadoms? And we all go, yeah, bring them on. And it's a tower, isn't it? Yeah. And there's just people breaking bits of, chickpea, I think, isn't it? And dipping it into marmalade and raw onion. As if this
lime.
This is a national delicacy. Everyone in India is eating raw onion as their starters.
That's right. And a tower of poppadoms.
Yeah.
What were you going to say about it being frightening?
I'll come on to that in a minute.
Okay. What are you waiting for? Okay, fine.
Well, there'll be a time and a place. I'm not sort of one that's just going to interrupt.
I was just kind of, and I think there's obviously there's a lot of stereotypes around the lads' curry, and I'd imagine it's probably a very different experience to other gender persuasions. However, I'm not saying that the ladies don't go out and can rip up a curry house. I'm not saying that. But I think it's fairly, well known to lads to go in basically beard up, noisy, as I just said. Yeah. It all gets a little, and it's two ways. It's two-way street, isn't it? It's not one side.
They're ripping us off.
Yeah.
They take the odd insult, but they're making an absolute fortune at our expense. So who's really laughing?
Yeah. I didn't grow up having curries as a kid.
No.
Takeaways weren't really a thing in my household.
They weren't. No.
I don't know whether that was a generational thing or... You think now how many places are open, how many people, all the families out, you think, we very rarely went out.
Yeah.
We at home because that's what you did.
We'd eat at a Bernie sometimes as a...
Oh, yeah. And my dad's never liked curries.
No.
Ever. The smell of it and just...
No, my dad didn't
just
like curries.
So they've just weren't on our radar. So when I was introduced to them, it was when you suddenly start discovering beer.
Yeah.
As a mid-teen. And then when social life moves into the curry house, probably for the first few years of going to a curry house, I don't think I was ever able to read a menu just because I was so pissed. I just couldn't see.
Yeah.
So you'd always know what you want, and then you just go in and say that every single time. So you're never very adventurous. Well, I certainly.
But that still happens with the lads. They'll come with a large laminated menu with 147 things, and Gordon Ramsay would always go, "Just make it 6 main courses," and you have
pages of laminated menu.
And it's like it's one sauce with 14 different meats, isn't it? And then another sauce, and we all sit there with these great big menus and choose the same thing week in, week out, but we still read everything.
Yeah,
as if like
we chat to each other. What you having? What you having? Then you literally just default. Don't
and
you?
then it comes. You go, oh, that looks nice. It's chicken in a sauce with rice and too many naan because you're so macho. Yeah. 4 pashwari here, please. It's like, isn't it? And then I've noticed recently as we've got older, people go, do you want to share a naan?
Don't want anyone else here.
I don't want to be seen to be effeminate, but I can't manage a full one.
So what was your first experiences of curry then?
Well, this is where the frightening's going to come in.
Oh.
I wasn't a big curry eater. I'm just trying to think. One of the first ones I had, this is a slight diversion, but it is curry based. So one of the first diversions I had into curry was in Selly Oak, which we mentioned 1 or 2 podcasts ago. Yeah. And I had a friend who lived up near there, and he said, this is when Balti became a big thing. Yeah, it's like early 80s or something.
I've got a little thing about that in a minute.
Okay. Yeah. So we'd gone up to Birmingham. We'd all stayed with him, 4 or 5 of us. We'd gone into this curry house that looked like someone's front room. and the other front room was an off license, and because of licensing, they couldn't serve beer.
Right.
So basically, he would take your order and say any drinks, and we'd order it, and he'd run next door behind the counter, look like open all hours with Arkwright. Would then give us the beers and go, no, it's all right, I'll bring them in, and then serve us from the off license.
The tins of beer.
The whole thing was really
Did you put them in glass or just give you tins?
No, it just gave you tins. They came in a carrier, and the first time I had a Balti, enjoyed it. The guy in Birmingham said, "Oh, I've got something quite amusing to show you." And some time ago, is another long story. I can't remember who I went with, but I was in Amsterdam. And you obviously do the visit to the red light district in Amsterdam. And obviously the women in the windows.
Yeah.
I don't actually think that's it's one of these things that you go, oh, Amsterdam edgy, and you go there and you just feel like you need a shower sort of thing. Anyway, this guy goes, I'm going to show you Selyoke's answer to Amsterdam.
Okay.
So he had actually a big van. He was an engineer. So we all jumped into this van.
Is this one of your mates?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was the guy serving the beer.
No, yeah, that was.
You got something for you?
We haven't got a license for prostitutes, but I can take you to some. Sorry, I don't want dessert. So anyway, we got in the van. Literally went about 400 yards, going down this road, and it says cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And I think one of the lads in the van went, "Oh, Martin, you can't go down here, mate. It's a cul-de-sac." And so we drove very slowly. And as you got to the end of the cul-de-sac, probably about the last 5 houses, were all very brightly lit. And there was the Amsterdam equivalent in the front rooms.
Oh, they're standing by the windows.
By the windows. But there was a fair garden. So they were a distance away.
Right.
So it wasn't totally clear what was going on to start with, because he hadn't preempted the visit.
Right.
And as we got to driving very slowly past the first house, the woman had taken the spirit of Amsterdam in terms of understanding the look she was after.
Okay.
So she'd concentrated on the clothing element, or the lack of clothing element. She got that spot on.
She wasn't entirely naked.
No, she wasn't entirely naked. She was
fairly naked.
She was alluring.
Oh.
I would say perhaps the lighting wasn't as subtle as it could have been, because she also had the TV on behind, which was casting more of a sort of bluey glow. Yeah. And someone was watching it, which again, it took away some of the romance.
That's amazing.
But the bit that probably did it for us, that maybe spoiled the magic, was that she was ironing.
Spectacular.
So she's in her front room.
Oh yeah, you got time.
All dressed up.
I just thought if you pitch up, could you put the ironing board away quick?
Or we could drop our ironing off and just watch. Erotic ironing.
That's very niche, isn't it?
But there would be a market for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then the next 4 houses, she was the best. The next 4 had
Which means she was like, oh, come on, what else was in there?
Oh, no, it just, some of them needed tidying, and they just lost.
The gardens?
No.
So they go.
Well, yeah, and those. Welcome to our second lad special. So anyway, that was my Selyoke curry related
So I guess when you think of curry, that whole experience comes to mind, right?
Yeah, and that isn't even the frightening bit.
Okay.
Tell us a bit more about curry, and I'll drop that in.
Okay.
Imagine having something that you brought up and I went, I've got no anecdotes at all. Not a one.
It'd be very barren, wouldn't it? I think I might have mentioned, it's probably a bit of an apology about the curry mile being in Selyoke. It's not far away.
Okay.
It's in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And it turns out Bristol didn't invent absolutely everything.
No.
So the curry mile isn't Selyoke, but Birmingham. Birmingham's famous curry mile consists of a long string of curry restaurants, also known as Balti restaurants, located south of Birmingham city centre. The area that comprises Stony Lane, Ladypool Road and Stratford Road is sometimes referred to as the Balti Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Balti Triangle. No? That Barry Manilow. Be muted.
I was there ages.
Keep up. Yeah. You're actually 85.
Yeah.
You were caught in the Balti Triangle.
And I didn't find the other 7 mates either.
Only 8 went in.
Yeah.
Only 1 came out. Oh, this is a great film. So this is what your book is about.
Yeah, my book hasn't progressed very far. But
maybe you should put these things in.
Could just make an audiobook instead of writing it, just speak rubbish.
Just string these things together. Yeah. You can edit that one yourself. It's called the Balti Triangle due to the multitude of Balti houses dominating the neighbourhood. I think we've kind of got the picture. Yeah. The Balti was invented in Birmingham.
Okay.
The Balti was invented in Birmingham during the 1970s when the city's Pakistani residents created a fusion dish inspired by traditional Kashmiri recipes, but cooked in a way that was more appealing to Western tastes, like most of our
raw
curries
onions.
yeah. And a leaning tower of poppadoms. In order to qualify as a Birmingham Balti, a curry must meet a number of requirements, including being cooked and served in a pressed steel Balti dish with ingredients that include turmeric, fenugreek, garam masala,
Yeah.
Garlic puree, and fresh ginger. Cool, huh?
Yeah. The fact that we don't script this, could you just repeat the first spice on your list?
Yeah.
Could you repeat it?
Turmeric.
Yeah. That's why I'm frightened of curries.
Go on.
I'm surprised you don't know this. So when I go to the curry house, when I go to the curry house with the lads, I always have the same safe dish.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have turmeric in it or paprika.
Okay.
Because I have a massive, massive allergic reaction to them.
Oh, wow.
Which is possible why I might not even be able to have the vaccine.
Honestly, I can't take all this in.
Okay,
we've had
I'll be brief.
We've had Balti Triangle prostitutes,
leaning tower of poppadoms,
and now you can have a vaccine
because you've got a Pfizer-related spice.
Oh shit! This is brilliant. This could be an award-winning episode.
You're having to cut out quite a bit as well. I've got. Oh no, I'm not going to say this because I just don't trust that you
edit on the fact my mother's listening. So there's loads that isn't going in.
She sent me birthday wishes, bless her.
Did she?
Yeah. I said thank you to her. Oh. We're going out for curry next week. I'll keep this brief because it has.
I've sat next to you on numerous occasions in the curry house, sipping on the finest down end water.
Yeah,
and I've not noticed. I've actually not taken any attention. Had any attention to what
I
you
don't
eat.
even look at the laminated menu. There's only one safe dish.
You just kind of nod at Abdul.
Yeah. And he crosses himself in the hope that I'm not going to pass out and go into a coma again. I'm not going to a coma.
Been in a coma for 3 months.
That'd be Andy when he falls asleep in it.
Oh, lovely.
I'll keep this brief.
No, please do.
No, yeah. So back in the day, didn't have a lot of curries. Once or twice when I had a curry, later that night or the following morning was still in a bad way. Always, I used to drink Guinness and also used to drink Guinness with shots of port in it.
Yeah, there's a name for it, isn't there? But that is gorgeous.
It isn't black velvet, is it? Isn't that lager and Guinness? It's something like something drop, like it's like when you drop something in the sea, isn't it? You drop your port
it's almost like a I was thinking depth charge, but isn't that more like a Jaeger kind of
bomb?
Yeah.
And you got that tiny little bit of ruby red as it goes through the head of the Guinness.
Really good, isn't it?
Yeah, I wish I drank.
Yeah,
I love Guinness.
Sounds really nice. Yeah, I must admit, I miss that.
We could do a Christmas special, have 1 pint each. It would be chaos, wouldn't it? Absolute bedlam.
Yeah. So a black and tan is Guinness and bitter, or Guinness and mild.
Okay.
Poor man's black velvet is Guinness and cider.
Yeah.
Black Russian, Guinness and vodka. Velvet pussy, Guinness and port.
Velvet pussy.
According to this.
Okay.
It's on the website, it has to be true. So you were into velvet pussies. Okay. So what?
That's fallen in your lap, hasn't it? That analogy doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
So I would go out.
It's a bit seedy, this episode, isn't it?
A bit dirty. It's a bit like a Celiac cul-de-sac. Oh dear. This is going to have to go out as a special, isn't it? But not as special. So would go out, have a lot to drink, go to a club, get a curry, pass out. That's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then after a while realised that perhaps my recovery from hangover was longer than other people. I'm pretty certain this is the time where this was discovered. Basically was served at a friend's dinner party, was served with avocado, mayonnaise, and a sprinkling of turmeric.
Right.
I think these people have been to Morocco and brought back the spices. Anyway, within about 5 minutes, passed out, collapsed on the floor.
Okay.
Long story short, I'm allergic to turmeric and paprika. Now, if you're going to have niche allergies, that's some going. Yeah. I can eat peanuts, but not those two. And they're in a lot of things. They're used a lot in flavouring and colouring more than flavouring. But of course, all curries are like just swimming in the sort of, that red colour.
So what happened?
So what happens is depending on how much I've eaten, I either pass out and one side of my face becomes literally paralysed, almost like a stroke, like can't talk and all down normally on the left side, like get really hot, massive sweats and just have to sleep for hours and hours.
Right.
And of course, this is what was happening back in the day. I'm thinking I'm getting drunk. This is what a hangover, having the turmeric, and it was. So it's quite a severe.
That is pretty. But do you know actually what it's doing? Is it common? I wouldn't have thought it was common.
I haven't mentioned anyone else, and it was almost like
never been to an allergy test or actually worked out what it is and what it's doing or why, or
it doesn't really matter, does it? As long as you avoid it. But it's one of those things when you go into a place you don't know and ask for a curry, and you go none of these, and they're going.
Like I said, it's in almost everything these days.
And all the sauces are pre-made. It isn't like they're handmade to order, is it? So because
garlic can really screw people up, and it's pretty much in everything these days, and they never actually list it as
because celery's a allergen, big allergen, isn't it? You got to put that on labels now. Contains celery. So anyway, that's why it was frightening. So now I don't tend to go to curry houses just because I can never be confident.
What is your dish at the old? The
tamarind special.
Oh, is it? Is that
their special dish? Doesn't have it for some reason.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, never knew that. Very interesting.
Free plug there.
Do you like hot curries?
Any really? Don't mind.
You don't mind. Do you know what the hottest curry in the world is?
No.
Can you guess what's coming now?
The fun fact?
Yeah. Fal curry is considered one of the hottest curries in the world and the hottest of Indian curries, even hotter than a vindaloo. Never had one of those. It is a British Asian curry that originated in Birmingham. See?
Fusion.
It is often made with fiery habanero peppers or Scotch bonnet peppers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm feeling sweaty already. Though many restaurants are now making it with ghost peppers, which are incredibly hot for most people. Most file curry recipes will call for hot peppers like the habanero or Scotch bonnet peppers, which are roughly 300,000 Scoville Heat Units.
There's a big thing, isn't there, on all the different units, because they have like competitions, don't they? A lot in America.
Yeah.
Chili eating competitions and things.
Those are definitely hot, but ghost peppers are very commonly used. Ghost peppers tip the heat scale at over 1 million SHU. If you're looking for a milder version of this recipe that still has good heat level, go with a single habanero pepper, but core it out first. Or you can make it with serrano peppers, which are about 50,000 Scoville Heat Units. Still hot, but not crazy. If you want to make it even hotter, if you want to make the truest, hottest curry in the world, then make it with Carolina Reaper peppers. The hottest peppers in the world at the moment. Try it with other super hot chili peppers too, like 7 pot peppers or scorpion peppers. I mean, these sound horrendous, these things.
You're like the new Nigella, aren't you? Did you hear her? Just diverting.
Microwave. Genius, wasn't it? It
but what a great piece of marketing to get yourself in the public eye.
She's smart though, isn't she?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that was it.
Okay. That's what I was hoping.
You doused my curry fire.
Yes.
With
Nigella. That would hot it up, to be honest.
Yeah. I did get the wrong curry once. We're talking about banter in the restaurants.
Yeah.
Remember my late friend, the one who didn't die, was just late to everything.
Yes.
And when we fell out with, and I think I might have said that there was all those times when we were growing up that trouble always seems to happen around him, and we're like, oh, isn't that weird? And then you realise it's him. Yeah. So he was in the curry house giving the waiters all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
But he called them a really nasty name. They weren't very happy. He's just been a knob. We all kind of obviously found it funny that what they were likely to go and do to his curry. Because they're all being polite, as you would be, because they're tolerating our crap. Anyway, all the curries come out. I start eating mine. I'm thinking, oh, this is hot. This is really, I didn't like hot curries. And I'm like starting to sweat a bit and feeling a bit uncomfortable. And I realised, I asked what I got. And I realised I got my mate's curry, the one who's been a knobber. And he was sitting there going, this is kind of quite mild.
Yeah.
Who knows what was in that curry apart from the heat.
Yeah.
So the joke was on me at the end of there. But
a bit like prison food. You have to be very careful with prison food.
Oh, in terms of what?
Well, just in terms of if you know the people that are serving it up and you've got a good relationship with those prisoners, you're okay. But
because the prisoners cook the food.
Yeah, when I used to work at Lay.
So if you fall out with someone, you don't want to be served food by them. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah. And so in the open prison, which was a lovely, lovely prison, if I was going to retire to a retirement village.
You go to prison.
Lay Hill Open Prison. And this isn't me any talking about the rights and wrongs of crime and punishment, but just as a location. It was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Gloucestershire countryside, landscape, manicured ground. They used to enter gardens at Chelsea Flower Show, won gold medals for the gardens. Yeah.
Oh,
we set up a farm. We had donkeys and cattle, beehives, wormeries, tennis courts. It was very nice. very nice.
Crime pays, is it? Or still a prison, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to get carried away.
I mean, I think I'm not trying to go, oh, they've all been looked after and they're sitting on their Xboxes. And it isn't. It is still a restriction on liberty. And I think there does need to be this halfway between high category prison and society, because a lot of people are banged up for 10 years and then, as we said the other day, given their 48 quid and they leave. So open prisons do provide that. We were teaching people dry stone walling and doing fantastic. Okay. It was a really, really good prison. Yeah, the restriction of liberty is what the punishment is. You don't have to suffer at the same time. But sure. So I'm not minimising the fact it was an open prison. I'm just saying to go to work there and walking through the gardens and seeing the donkeys pulling little carts with the grass cuttings in, and it was lovely.
Do they have curry?
Well, they had like a mess. Prisons are quite like army. Like literally at 12 o'clock, you'd be in the middle of any sort of a meeting, and everyone went, it's 12. Well, we'll come back at 1:30. It was always an hour and a half for lunch. Maybe the work-life balance is better in that sort of establishment.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to run like clockwork, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and so if everything closes down because of X, Y, and Z, then you don't go, no, I'm going to work through my lunch. No, you all go and you have your lunch. So.
Anything else on curry particularly? Do you have?
No, that's shallot. That doesn't quite work.
And a shallot curry was a really famous curry.
Yeah, the raw onions. Yeah, apart from raw onions, that's shallot.
Brain food. Calorie deficit. You introduced me to calorie deficit. And I'm sitting here thinking, I know we've mentioned it, kicked it around, and we've kind of talked about James Smith, who goes on, calorie deficit a lot and has very firm ideas about it. Yeah, you're the one who kind of introduced me to it.
Yeah.
And just to understand it better. And you've introduced me to lots of people, and we talked about the fitness chef. Yeah. Which we often kind of post on, repost on our Instagram and stuff, because that's just fascinating. He's always putting fascinating stuff up. And I guess the thrust of what we try to do here is put out information to the best of our abilities, that it's factual, it's correct, and trying to give our kind of
spin on it.
Yeah. And I guess a balance spin where we can, just so people can go off and make their own mind up about things. But you've been training 40 odd years, in kind of in terms of physical fitness, and correct, is that about 40 years? You've kind of always I've
been in gyms for 42 years.
So I guess where did obviously attitudes to food and nutrition and understanding the science of food and calories has obviously taken an upward curve in terms of the amount of stuff that's available and the way people present it. So I guess in your training timeline, was there did you always know about it from the beginning? Does it go hand in hand with strength training, weight training, and fitness? Or is it something you kind of, people rumble about it and then it's become, like most things, it's become wider, more common knowledge? Because when you get into kind of bodybuilding and weight training and stuff, it's minutiae, isn't it, in terms of the muscles you are training on and the things you're eating and not eating. And you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So just how much there's about 20 questions in there. How did you get introduced to it? What's your relationship with it?
I was just thinking, one thing that I do have is it might be useful to do a deep dive in these. I've got my bodybuilding magazines from about 1977, 78, and a lot of sort of Arnie and Stilling and all that. And so interesting to look at. I did look at one or two the other day, and it was interesting to look at the supplements in terms of what was being sold there.
So was it more that than take these things rather than just eat well? Was it eating well? And because you look back, and even in Rocky, he's nailing the kind of raw egg, and I know that's not necessarily about calorie deficit. That's about
what's happened now. We've talked about how much information there is out there, and how much is right and how much is wrong. And I think what happens is we've talked about almost like the vilification of certain foods. And I was just literally, just as you asked that, I was visualizing, because I found a photograph, and I will bring a photograph in. I know none of this works on podcast, but I'll show you. And this was my training partner when I was in Sheffield, and I found a photograph of him the other day in the typical double biceps pose. And he was a young black lad, and it's relevant that he was black, because one of the things that was very big, and we're talking like 1980, 81, what was very big within the black community was a drink called Nourishment. I think it was called Nourishment. We might have to look. Can we have a quick look?
Yeah.
It's in a can. If you can have a...
What is it? A protein thing? Or 40 years ago. Hold on. Dunn's River Nourishment, original banana.
Yeah. And what a brilliant... It's lovely marketing,
I spelled nourishment wrong, but it looks really... It's a really pretty... I'll save that and put it on the socials. So that was what it was it? A unique creamy taste made with fresh milk, the original Nourishment since 1981.
And it used to... and I might be wrong.
Is that
here.
one of the earlier kind of protein drinks?
Well, the reason I was saying that he was a young black lad, it was very much within the black community. And I know when I worked as a bookie in the early 80s, again in a black community, nourishment was always the go-to drink. But it was really interesting because back in those days, and I'm positive I'm right on this, we'll check. Marcus Aurelius, and it had a ring pull lid, so it was a can.
This one had that one.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
and you drank it basically out of quite a sharp can.
Yeah,
it wasn't very subtle.
Well, that one's got a pull thing on it, but
but there wasn't like a drinking thing. It was you just opened the whole can.
Right. Okay.
So you
like
couldn't save
condensed milk or something.
Yes, it was exactly like it tasted like condensed milk.
Or just pierce the top and chug it or something.
No, you just pulled it off and then drank it, but you did have quite a sharp can, and of course you couldn't do anything with it because it wasn't. You had to drink it all.
Yeah.
Because also with being milk,
you
it gets warm.
Yeah.
So that used to be our staple, that we would go and train, walk up to the local shops, get a can of chocolate nourishment each, and then go to the butcher's and ask for £1 worth of steak cut up.
All right.
So we'd cut it up into cubes, and we would walk along the road eating steak.
What, raw steak?
Yeah.
Badass.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Raw steak's fine.
Yeah, it's just,
Don't do it with chicken or pork, children.
Right.
Yeah, so literally we'd have a little bag with £1 worth of steak.
I don't think I've ever eaten raw steak.
Yeah, if you get a decent cut, it's fine. Yeah. So the point I'm making is that very much then, because there was no social media, that was, what would Arnie do? He would eat, which is ironic that he's now going on to documentaries about being vegan, although I've just seen an advert with him with a massive turkey for Thanksgiving. I think he seemed to have slipped now the sponsorship has run out. So yeah, what I'm saying is I used to have raw eggs, I used to have raw beef and swill it all down with nourishment because that is what you were told. And I would literally put 4 or 5 eggs, just swallow them whole.
Yeah.
Then you get a bit of information that says egg whites are a very pure food, and actually it's really hard to digest if you don't cook them first, so it's better to have poached eggs or boiled eggs than raw eggs. And so you get a little bit of information.
Yeah.
But Edwina Curry then came on to the TVs and going, eggs will kill you, they're full of cholesterol.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
to this day,
Salmonella,
people believe not just the salmonella, but the cholesterol in the yolk.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
You'll still see posts on Instagram where someone's gone, I'm having 8 eggs, 2 yolks, and then 6 just the whites.
Right.
And so what happens, this is the point I think I'm saying about nutrition and about diets and about everything, is that there's constant evolution, but we never perhaps now get the true story because there's always a vested interest in someone going, you shouldn't eat eggs because of this.
Yeah.
And also this perception at the moment around eat vegan food because it's healthier. We haven't got time to do this, but I took a photograph of something that's called no pork belly. It's a vegan food.
Yeah.
And on the list of the ingredients, the first ingredient was no pork belly. And I'm thinking, they have to say that there's no pork belly in it. So they call it pork belly.
Oh, they call it pork belly.
Well, they call it no pork belly.
But then they have to say there's no pork belly in it.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. It already says no pork belly.
But why can't, I'm surprised that vegan packaging constantly has reference to dead animals on the packaging.
Well,
couldn't it be?
I've always struggled with it. Vegetarian chicken. Well, it's not chicken.
Yeah.
And vegetarian bacon, it's not bacon.
But I mean, the question I would like to ask, if you are vegan, which for a lot of people would be a moral stance, some people do it for either real or perceived health benefits, and some do it because of a moral outlook.
Yeah.
If it is a moral outlook, why would you want your plant-based jackfruit looking like rashers of bacon, which is surely going to be a visual reminder of shredded pigs?
Yeah,
So, but the point I was going to make is that on this particular vegan dish, apart from the ingredient of no pork belly, and it just seems ultimately wrong that on a list of ingredients you have to say what not in it, because then you might have to go, there's also no chicken there.
Yes.
But there was 72 ingredients, and I just thought, that's a lot of processing.
Yeah, that is.
I think we've come a long way from the vegan ideal of having a plant-based healthy diet to something that had 72 ingredients. Yeah. So the point I was going to say about the cyclical nature is I think what happened now is more is less, and that people are sticking their colours to a particular mast. So calorie deficit, low carb, a keto diet, extreme calories, so only doing 600 or 800. And people are investing in that and going, this is the way to lose weight. And I think losing weight in some ways is the least of your problems. The point when you did the heading calorie deficit, yes, the 2 clients I was mentioning to you, 2 clients trained together. I might get these figures wrong. I don't even know what the timeline is, but in the last few months, one has gone down from, I think, something like 10 stone 12 to 9 stone 1. The other person has gone down, I think, from 15-12 to 13-13, so a pound less than 2 stone. So they've between them lost close to 4 stone, and this has made them happy, and this is what they wanted to achieve, and they've done it with calorie deficit. And for all intents and purposes, that has helped things like self-esteem. It has helped things like how they feel about themselves in their clothes, and it has made them happy. So it's the creation of the habit that then becomes default. So one of them, for example, weighs out snacks and has them in a little bowl rather than take the bag of crisps in or the bag of popcorn, weighs it out. And you could go, that isn't sustainable. But after
you can't do that everywhere.
No.
But the habit, you almost don't have to weigh it. Is that what you're going to say? You kind of...
The habit is, this is how many crisps I eat as a snack.
Yes. And you can just work that out and you don't even think about it.
It becomes intuitive and instinctive. And I think that's the problem. If something isn't sustainable, there's no point doing it for a year.
And enjoyable, I don't know what you're going to say, because that is also what the fitness chef, he's not making any food judgment, which is part of our food special about there are so many judgments around food.
Yes.
And he's saying, look, you can eat your sweets and you can have the things you like. We're not saying that. There's lots of movements that we've mentioned before that encourage the treats.
Yes.
Because they encourage you to eat badly and keep coming back to said things.
Yeah.
Here's the fact, but it doesn't mean you have to take that out. And I think that part of the sustainability bit is being able to enjoy it, not just practically sustaining that, but the soul stuff, the stuff that's this doesn't have to be suffering, does it?
No, food shouldn't be suffering. And it's interesting that the person I said to about you yesterday was asking about his diet, looked at me really guilty and he went, I'm off for a McDonald's. And I went, great. And he said, well, why great? And I said, don't have the McFlurry and don't have the full fat Coke. If you have a McDonald's, which is some protein with some carbs and a little bit of sauce, which is fat, that's fine. A McDonald's per se isn't bad food. If you then have your McFlurry, your ice cream and your full fat Coke, then you're going to suffer. When you listed this as calorie deficit, I thought I've shifted in my view because I think losing weight is only one part of this. And I think it should be the first bit because people can measure it. They can feel they've achieved something. They can have that feel-good factor that will make it sustainable. I think the second bit is then understanding food and understanding your relationship with food instead of just going, it's a mathematical formula. And that's how I did present it to you. 3,500 calories is a pound of fat. So the science goes, and I know people are going to go, this isn't all strictly true, but roughly, if you're in deficit by that amount, which is 500 calories a day, and deficit being the difference between the amount you expend and the amount you take in, you near enough will lose a pound a week if you did that every week. There's a whole number of other factors. There's water retention, there's menstrual cycles, there's stress producing cortisol, which blah, 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 blah. In basic science, if you are in a calorie deficit over time, consistently, you will lose weight. But I think that has to be the foundation to then changing, as I say, your relationship with food, your understanding with food, and then your understanding of other things like supplements. And I know I go on and on about vitamin D. Really, really interesting. Warburton's have just launched a vitamin D fortified bread. Just launched it. It's I think 2 slices have a third of your daily amount as advertised by the government, which works out at 130 IUs. I take 4,000 IUs a day. So for me, it's maybe not the levels I would expect, but really interesting in this day and age that suddenly we're following Finland and Sweden and the others and going, we're going to fortify. And no one's come out. No, I haven't seen anything in the press and going, like, what on earth? Don't force us into vitamin D. And I am a little bit... Because
there isn't really an argument, is there, as such?
No, especially not at that levels. And having it in food is so much better. I mean, supplements have got a place, but if we could get everything from eating egg yolk and salmon and herring and fortified bread, then great. We don't need to take supplements.
There used to be fibre in foods. Putting extra fibre in things was good, and it's not always good. And the stuff I went through was actually fibre could rip your guts to pieces if you've got too much of it, like most things, but if you've got too much of it. But
fibre was a big thing. And then,
it's not good for everybody. No. It really isn't.
Whereas vitamin D, I mean, the other thing that we've had from the fitness chef, isn't it? Keep getting his name wrong. From Graham Tomlinson. We will put the link because that guy is spot on. He's mentioned very much foods like porridge and then protein porridge
Right.
And they're basically tripling the price in some instances.
Right.
And you're getting a gram of protein per portion.
Yeah.
But they're you can get protein.
So it's on the
Snickers.
shelf. Okay, when it's on the shelf, you go, all right, they look pretty much the same packaging. Like, oh, this one's got protein, but you probably don't notice it.
In very big letters.
It's another couple of quid or whatever.
Yeah. And it's generally in carbs. Don't go to a carb to get protein.
Right.
If you're going to Weetabix because it's got 8 grams of protein per 100 grams, that 8%, you could... It's just not a good source. It's not where you go. You wouldn't go for, you wouldn't go for a thick shake for hydration. It's horses for courses. Yeah. If something is a carbohydrate, then use it as that. Don't think because it's got some whey milk in it and it has some protein or some soy protein in it, that somehow it's a panacea. Yeah. And it's never going to be enough. You can never cram enough protein into a Weetabix that's going to make any appreciable difference. So that's what I'm saying. The first thing, I still think there is a place. And one of the things that's happening on Instagram is don't be defined by numbers. Don't be defined by the scales. I'm working with 2 people that have lost 4 stone. That has made them happy. Yeah. So stop being all Instagram influencers and go, no, it's much more about blah, blah, blah. Get the basics right. Yeah. Feel good about yourself. Yeah.
I think it's understanding from the weight point of view, like you said, that it's you can put weight on overnight, but there's all sorts of reasons why that's happening. Yes. You haven't eaten, so it's not it's understanding why your actual weight might fluctuate, but measuring is still an important
Jordan
KPI.
Syatt went on a mini cut recently, and he was showing what a sort of zigzag it is on the graph, but the downward trend. Right. And he did this one with drinking water before he weighed, and one of my clients went like, "What the fuck? I didn't realize." Yeah. It's almost like I didn't realize. Not this particular person.
If you're being good and hydrating well,
yes,
this
person has 4 liters a day. They hydrate. We had the
what is it? Is it a liter of water? Is a pound in weight?
A pint of water is a pound and a quarter.
Yeah.
And that's like, you have 2 pints of beer and you've put on 2.5 pounds.
Yeah.
Having this idea that the scales, but you do the scales over a period of time. Yeah. So with my clients, I would never tell them to weigh every day. I know Jordan Syatt I would say weigh once a week, but look at the results as a 4-week cycle. So if you're a woman measuring on day 1 and you measure a week later and go, I've put on 2 pounds, it could be for where you are in your menstrual cycle. Yeah. Look at the result 28 days later, and that should be your comparison. But just keep a record of these weekly ones. But don't go, I put on 3 pounds. You put on 3 pounds because I can see you're bloated because you're retaining water because you're in this period of your cycle. Yeah. So this is, I think, what I'm saying. Calorie deficit is one way that you can reduce weight, so that is the first step. The second step is understanding your relationship with food and doing some research and finding out the truth about food and finding people that are telling you the truth, not companies that try and sell. And then linked to that is looking at either supplements or hydration to fill the gaps that you're not meeting. And then the third one is making this your way of life so that you have that balance, exactly as Fitness Chef says, that every time you have, and I hate these descriptions of bad food or dirty food or stuff that's not clean food, but there are some foods that if you can try and have them as a reward and not feel guilty, perfect, but just recognize that if it becomes a regular reward, that's going to set you back. Yeah. And I know we can't go a whole episode without mentioning crisps, but there is that time that you can undo a lot of work by eating, but that doesn't mean don't eat crisps. Yeah. It just means have it as part of your overall balanced diet.
So if you go to the NHS website and look up curry, right, which you can.
You've done this, have you?
Yeah, I have it. It says try to avoid anything that's creamy or deep fried. This is if you're trying to go for the healthier option. Okay. To reduce the amount of fat in your meal. It's not always about fat.
Fat doesn't make you fat. NHS.
Fitness Chef had something on yesterday. It was an innocent smoothie. It wasn't your tropical zing
and a full fat Coke
and the Coke.
Yeah, this one makes you fat.
Made by the same company. This one makes you thin. This one makes you fat.
Yes.
So we might pop this up on when this episode comes out. But when you look at kind of calories, because you type in calories and it says healthy options, it goes to reduce the fat. And like you said, it's not.
Does it say anything else?
Same thing. It says choose dishes with tomato-based sauces such as jalfrezi and madras or tandoori cooked meat, because there's a curry calorie chart.
Just read out where it mentions not to have masses of poppadoms and naans that are probably high in saturated fat. Does it say that?
It says also choose plenty of vegetables, including lentil side dishes known as dal. Yep. Try to avoid any creamy curries such as korma, pasanda, masala with pilau, rice, naan, bhajis, pakoras and poppadoms.
Okay.
It's healthier options: tandoori, cooked meat, which we just talked about, or jalfrezi or madras chicken, vegetables, prawns or vegetables, plain rice and chapati.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read, I know we did this before, I'm going to read out what I've written in my notes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a 10-second explanation. And if there's any that you'd like a minute explanation, we'll have them as the bookmarks. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because these all have some importance to me.
You've mentioned some things this week that are really important as well, like some 77th Brigade.
77th Brigade.
But it sounds like some things are going to need a bit of a...
That's going to need more because we're going to have to be really careful what we say about that.
Go for it.
Okay, so I listened to a podcast and it was entitled Cockney at Oxford. And this is the guy that I've mentioned in Top Flight Time Machine, who basically, he and I are living parallel lives. Every aspect that he's done in his life, I mean, he's been more successful than me, but the more chaotic elements of the life are like totally in parallel. Right. This is the guy I keep meaning to write to.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen to the podcast and he went, oh yeah, I got an interview at Oxford, but I ballsed it up.
Right.
And that's what I did. So
okay,
it's
you
like,
haven't mentioned that.
Have I not?
No.
Okay, well, we can talk about that sometime. That was really just fascinating that I was just driving to here and that he was basically talking about his interview and it's exactly the same as mine.
Yeah.
The one I told you about, Philip Schofield taking the piss out of short contestants, I'm not going to let him off because I'm going to re-look at that. He was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Well, if you feel strongly about it. And it's we've talked about height and judging people on their height.
Yep.
And why is that any different to judging anyone else's differences?
Yes. Inflatable tanks that were invented in the Second World War to make the enemy think you have tanks. And video I have of people carrying these tanks and putting them in fields.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they're full size.
And they look pretty good from a distance. Looks like they're literally carrying a
They look good close up.
Oh, right.
They look like the world's most exciting bouncy castle.
Brilliant.
But yeah, so really, really interesting. And my question is, how the fuck didn't we know about this? How do we not know that dummy inflatable tanks weren't a thing?
Well, maybe that's the point.
Mountain meditation, which I've mentioned, I wouldn't mind revisiting that.
Is this your, I'm a mountain.
Yes.
I'm a taller mountain than
with
you.
an ice cap, which is smaller than an ice sheet. I did look that up.
Oh, what was an ice cap? Is it actually an iceberg or is it the top of a mountain? You didn't even do your last bit of homework, so I'm not expecting you to.
An ice cap is a massive ice that covers less than 50,000 square kilometres.
So it's not an iceberg?
No. Something on Insta search, which I'll give you details after this, because I have my own Instagram page and you've now given me access to the
work one.
Yes. And there's something I found on search that I didn't know existed. And I don't know anyone who does know existed, but I'll tell you afterwards and we'll look into it.
Can't you drop that in now? You can't
try
tease everyone like that.
Okay. All right. We'll do this live on air. Go on to the I'm Finecast Insta search. I've got another 6 after this, so I'll leave them.
At the top?
Yes. In the search bar.
I haven't got anything in the search bar. What does yours look like?
And it changes. It does on my phone on
Finecast. Oh, no, I have. I've got mud run.
Okay, so I've got pull-ups.
Ceiling design.
Chest day.
Scandinavian style.
That says Scandinavian hotties, you like. Arm workout.
Positive mind.
Gym life.
Contrast photography. This is great.
Running technique.
Cycling photography.
Basketball game. Okay. Yeah, take the bloody piss because I'm 5'7".
Yeah, it's gone back round to mud run again. No, I've never noticed that.
But it's almost like...
is it trying to put things into your mind? All these are things you like.
No, I think what it's doing is going, this is what we... So you've got some creative stuff in there. Mine basically is nothing other than exercise.
Right.
But maybe it's our use of Instagram.
So maybe, because I just thought it would have been account-based. So whatever I'm looking at, you'll look at and vice versa. Maybe it's not. No. Clever enough.
Never seen that before.
No.
I'll leave the others because there's too many.
Okay. Well, we've got lots of things to come back to.
We have indeed.
That's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far and thanks for listening. All links and references will be in our show notes. Please make sure you subscribe to us via your favourite podcasting app. And if you're enjoying this pod, then please do tell a friend and help us spread the word. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, then congratulations. You've made it. You're successful and clever and trendy. Then please do leave us a 5-star rating and or a review, as it really helps with algorithms or something. I've really no idea. I really don't have any idea how it works. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at I'm Finecast, and you can send your emails to imfinecast@gmail.com. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about creativity.
Yeah.
I like to think this is right up my Strasse,
but
it was your idea. That's it.
Yeah, our work here is done.
Yeah. See you next episode. Bye.
Yeah, see ya.